the same thing. Recording in progress. Good morning, everybody. How are you all doing? So as usual, we start the day by please put in the chat box, like from 1 to 10, if how you're feeling today. So 1 is I want to put the blanket over my head and disappear in the world. And 10 is I want to drink champagne and celebrate all day. Okay. Also, if you just want to put in like, how are you feeling otherwise, like just a couple of words, like I'm feeling good, I'm feeling, how's your progress with the program? Are you catching up? Are you behind? Like, where are you? Do you feel overwhelmed? How are you feeling? Okay. And today's topic is going to be, yesterday we spoke about joy. And today we're going to speak about how to walk with joy and sadness at the same time. So one of the things that we have difficulties experiencing, and this was actually also one of the biggest lessons for me last year, was how to understand also the importance of this, is that we can be in a good place overall, we can be in a happy space overall, but still things can happen on the outside where, excuse my French, the shit hits the fan and we need to, you know, we can still be sad. So that's why it's quite important to be able to walk with sadness and joy at the same time, to be in a good, happy overall state. But on the other hand, we can still have things that happen, you know, people doing mainly things that happen from the outside, right? So like in this group, we've experienced breakups, we've experienced unhappily being in love, we've experienced business setbacks, like all of these things that happen from the outside is things that we need to deal with. And so before I get into that, very quickly, again, I want to officially welcome Berenice and Françoise into the program as well. And I know 1 or 2, I'm not sure, other people are joining, I think today or tomorrow. So for those of you, once you have joined and you're listening to this recording, because this is probably going to be the first recording that you're listening to, I want you to, in terms of priority, like make sure you come every day at 9. That is amazing. The more you do, the more effort you give to this, the more time you dedicate also outside of these like 20 to 30 minutes in the morning, the more will happen for you. Okay. It's more about like touching the vibes. And not necessarily about how much time you dedicate, but how much energy you dedicate. Okay. So I say it's better to touch the emotion we touch upon multiple times per day. Like yesterday, for example, we set the intention to touch upon joy multiple times per day. So that's not like you need to sit for an hour and do some work, but it's more like being in the awareness and in the energy of like touching upon joy multiple times a day. And in terms of what to do when, so I would recommend you start off with the intention setting workshop. And that one will get you set up, because what we did is we set intentions for this workshop for the 21 days. But at the same time, I gave you a lot of tools in order to set the intentions for 2022. Okay, and how to prioritize the intentions and all of these things. Okay, so that's what I would start off with. And then you can just go day by day as you feel the timing fits you. Okay, there really is also there's no order. Like you can look at day 1 first or day 3 first. Like you can look at the list and see whatever calls to you first is what you can do. I just would recommend that you don't wait too long with watching. I'm not sure if it's day 2 or day 3, or we go through closing 2021, because it's something that we want to finalize. You know, it's not good to have that energy of 2021 stick around too long. So that's the only one I would recommend, that you don't put off that one for too long. Okay. That's the only thing I would recommend. All right. And if you have any questions, post them in the group anytime. And like I said, this is a group of full support. This is a group where we're very open with each other, a place where we're allowed to be vulnerable as well. We're allowed to share how we feel, how where we're at, all these things, like people have shared some very vulnerable things here. Also, just so you know, these recordings are there for you for lifetime. So this group is there for you for lifetime. The recordings will be there for lifetime. So you can go back to them as many times as you want. Oh, there's a cat. Wonderful. Fran has a cat. And you can go back to them as many times as you want. So if you feel during the year, like for example, at mid-year, this is a really good thing to do, like to go through and set the intentions again and see, what have I achieved? What do I want to change? What do I want to set new? And do the exercise, for example, for 2021, do that for the first half of the year of 2022. So this closing is a really powerful tool. I, for example, started with this closing exercise mid-year this year. So I didn't start last year with this. I started mid-year this year. And Bernice, actually, I think it was one of the things I also mentioned in the sales program that we did together at the time. So you might recognize some of the things that I said. Okay. All right. So today, like I mentioned, it's about walking with joy and sadness at the same time. So the importance, I'm just going to mute you, Gunnar. The importance is that first of all, we need to be aware of our emotions. Okay, so we need to be aware of what's going on. And this was something we went through 2 days ago when we said, choose again, right? So I explained to you guys the choose again method of Gabrielle Bernstein, where you're very aware of negative emotions and your thought process, and then being able to choose a better feeling thought. And the thing is that it is so important for us to be aware of what is going on. So what is really good, and having like a really good baseline of feeling good, having positive energy. And the way that we do that is mainly through those 3 things that I told you at the very beginning of this. So gratitude, looking for gratitude and getting in the energy of gratitude as much and as many times a day as you can. Looking for beauty, okay? Looking for beauty. And the third one is goddess energy / feeling good, okay? So looking for opportunities in order to make yourself feel good. And a lot of these tools is what we covered on day 1 as well, right? With the goddess energy. And so that is the baseline of making ourselves feel good, so that when sad or bad things happen to us from the outside, it no longer, it doesn't get to us as much. So it's not like, if our baseline is like this and something bad happens, is we go like this. If our baseline is, I need to put my computer a bit lower. If our baseline is like this and something bad happens, then we're even lower, right? So that's why we need to take care, first of all, of our baseline and making sure that overall we feel good and we're in a positive state of mind. And then when bad things happen, we're not impacted as much. So the jump is not as low, right? But then, of course, it depends on what happens, because it's different whether we break our nail or whether, a relationship ends, or, for example, illness in the family. Like I spoke about it yesterday, or I think the day before, that, this last year for me has been very impacted by my father's health. And that was like a huge hit for the family. And so for me, learning to walk, that's why it was so important for me last year to learn to walk with sadness and joy at the same time, because I was really sad that my dad was very ill, and it hit me at times, and it hit me really hard, because when he made those jumps of getting worse and worse and worse, it was like, and you feel so helpless because there's nothing you can do about it. So that's when, but at the same time, I experienced massive joy and massive growth with people in my community, my clients. The programs were amazing. My breeding program was going amazing. I mean, there were so many good things happening. I had a partner in my life. I was moving country. Like there were so many things happening for me, and I was so happy at the same time. And the problem was when I felt guilt. So when I started feeling guilty about being happy, even though this was happening to my dad, to my father, that's when kind of I got a bit like, okay, what am I supposed to be feeling? Like, I'm happy because I just hit this milestone in my business, or because one of my clients just hit this milestone in their business, or because whatever. But on the other hand, my father experienced something and made a big jump in his illness, and we were like, oh my God, what's happening? And he was completely disoriented and did things where we were like, set his apartment on fire, and I don't know what. It's like these things where you're like, okay, how do I deal with this? And what I learned, and this was, as I said, one of the most powerful things I learned in the last year, was really to be okay with having both emotions at the same time and walking with that at the same time. And really allowing that, because the main thing that doesn't allow that is our guilt, because I'm supposed to feel bad and feel sad because that's what we're taught we're supposed to do. But on the other hand, you have also a lot of people that are judging you from the outside, because people could say, well, how can you be, celebrating with all your champagne all year while in the meantime, your father is so sick? How can you do that? Right. And that's a choice that we make for ourselves, is to say, yes, but I'm allowed to experience joy. I'm allowed to celebrate the good things in my life whilst also being impacted and sad about the things that are not going well. And by the way, my father benefits least of all if I go in there and cry all the time about him being ill and all the things. Like, that was also a key lesson for me, because at the beginning I was trying to manage things in a logistical way, very much doing, like, okay, what do we need to do? Like, let's do this and let's do that. And we need to have somebody who takes care of it. And we need to do this. But we missed out on taking care and making sure, how does he feel like, making sure he's happy, making sure he gets some amazing experiences, making sure that, because the better his energy and the better his feeling was, and the better state of mind he was, the less impact the illness had. So that's something. Also, by the way, my dad has Alzheimer's, just to give you an understanding of what it is that I'm talking about. So, and with Alzheimer's, the thing is that you've got really good days and really bad days, and it depends a lot on the energy that you're in. So if you're in a really good place, you have a really good day. If you have a really bad day, like, anything can happen. They can get lost. They can, and they also make jumps in the illness. So it gets really worse to worse quite quickly. It's like they make a jump and then they can't go back to the baseline they were at before. So something happens and then it's a jump. And so that is how I really learned that my dad also benefited from me actually going to him and saying, like, what happened today, Dad? Like, one of my clients today, they closed a 30,000 euro deal. He was like, what? Really? Wow, that's amazing. And then I said, oh, you know what happened today, Dad? That today I sold a horse for this and that much amount. He was like, what? That's amazing. So by sharing that energy with him, I also managed to change the energy in the family a bit, to change his energy a bit. And so the sadness didn't impact me as much anymore. And of course, you also get used to it because you learn to deal with it better. So the sadness no longer hits you as hard, even though every time you go to a doctor and he tells you, okay, what's going on, but you feel like, okay, the sadness should hit, but you feel it's not impacting you as much anymore, right? So you deal with it better and you get used to it better. So at the beginning, the wave is a bit like this, and then it's a bit more like this, okay? And when we learn how to do that, it is so powerful, because it doesn't impact this baseline anymore, because it used to be like this. And now it's just like that this part goes like this, but not your whole thing. Your whole being doesn't go like this anymore. You're not fully sad. You're not fully impacted. You're not like, it doesn't destroy your entire day. It doesn't stop your business. It doesn't stop you from functioning. It doesn't stop you from operating the day-to-day things. Okay. So this is really a matter of, because in theory, it sounds very easy. When I talk like this, it sounds very easy. It was very hard for me. It was very hard for me at the beginning to like actually walk through this and be like, okay, all right, so today this happened in the business, but then this happened with my dad. All right, okay. What do I do now? Okay, all right, okay, all right. Let's cry first of all, because that just lets the emotions out, and allow myself to just experience the sadness, because that was one of the other things I did all my life. Is in our family, it wasn't allowed to cry ever, because my mother was not very good with dealing with emotions. So she was always like, we don't cry in the family. You don't cry, kids don't cry, nobody cries. Like, crying is a very bad thing. So it was always like this, we don't cry, we keep everything inside and we don't ever cry. And it bottles up, and at some point you just explode. So one of the things I also learned last year was to actually cry and to let things out and to be okay with that. So that was also a very interesting experience. And the thing is that when you allow yourself to experience the sadness, and when you allow yourself to experience the sadness in the moment, it doesn't get bottled up anymore. And you can choose different levels of sadness, right? So we have days where we can continue and we can say, okay, the sadness has a bigger impact, but I can still experience joy. Or I choose and I say, okay, you know what, like today, 5 bad things happened. Like I'm going to have a what we call a sushi roll day. It's something that one of my coaches has invented. And I love the analogy of how she puts it, because she says sushi roll day is she rolls herself in a blanket, lies on the couch, and then she really like goes all in with the sadness. So she says, okay, today is going to be a crappy day, let's make it a really crappy day, and I'm going to experience it with everything. So we're going to look at sad movies, we're going to buy ourselves ice cream and chocolate, and like really experience it, like really let it all out, really feel it, because our body and our mind is telling us that's what you need right now. Like you really need a day to just like let it all out and really experience it and be in the pain, like feel all the feels. Because one of the other things that we do that is very dangerous, and this is something that we really differentiate, there's a difference between walking with sadness and joy, and having sadness come in and then just like wiping it away and going like, oh no, I'm not sad, like I'm super fine, like this is all good. And somebody told me I'm not ever allowed to leave my baseline of positive energy, so I'm just gonna, like, all the negative stuff that comes, I'm just gonna wipe it away and not deal with it. And the problem is when we do that is 100%, there's no wiggle room. 100%, it's like a boomerang. It's like you throw it away and it hits back, and it hits you back even harder. So that is something that I also did that, by the way, because for some point when I started my spiritual journey, like meditating and manifesting and all of the things, I was like, ooh, okay, people said you need to be positive. So that means you need to be positive all the time. So when things come in, I'm just going to be like, keep my baseline. And no matter what happens, I'm just going to wipe everything away. Like I'm going to hit it with a baseball bat, like no sadness allowed here. Like let's hit it all back. Right. And so the combination of not being allowed to cry and hitting all of those bad energy feelings away with a baseball bat was really something that, like, my boomerang was double as hard because it came back in such an intense energy that I was like, this is really like, oof. Then I really had to take a sushi roll day sometimes too, because it was like, I just couldn't anymore. I couldn't cope with it anymore. So in order not to experience that, we really need to be, when sadness comes, we need to be very aware what's happening and we need to deal with it. So that is always step one, right? So when sadness comes, you're like, okay, sadness, anger, fear, like those low vibe emotions. Okay. But mainly I'm speaking about sadness and fear. So we need to sit with it and really be like, okay, what is this? What is this? And is it a reason to feel sad, or is it something where, like, how high are we on the scale? Is this I broke my fingernail, or is this a my dad is terminally sick, or I'm having a breakup, or something really bad happened in my business, or my business partner is leaving me, or whatever it is, right? So we need to like put it on the map of how bad is this thing, and how bad am I impacted emotionally, and how do I want to deal with this? So is this one of the things where really, I can just walk with it and just say, okay, it's going to hurt for a little while, but really there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm just going to walk with this and I'm going to be all right with it. Like what I did a lot of the times in the progress of my father's illness, for example, is whenever something horrible happened, is I would just go for a walk and cry and just like let it out and experience it. And then I was okay. And then for the rest of the day, I could really deal well with the joy and the sadness at the same time, because I was generally happy. But then from time to time, it was like this little impulse of like, oh, that hurt in the heart. And it still worked, like it still kept me in such a positive overall state of mind, because I could deal with it so much better, of this energy of walking with it at the same time. It was amazing. Okay. So that's why the first step is to understand, okay, where are we on the scale? And then how are we going to deal with this? Do I need a sushi roll day? Do I need to just go for a walk and let it out quickly? Do I need to, like, what is it that I need in order to let it out? And then the next thing is, what can I do in order to make myself feel better? Like, what do I need? What does my body need? So to really listen to your body and your mind and your soul and be like, what do I need? Do I need coffee? Do I need my best friend and 10 tons of chocolate? Do I need, what do I need? A bathtub? What do I need? And then for the rest of the day, allow yourself to still be happy, because one of the things that really kills everything is the guilt over still being positive, and the fear of judgment from other people over being positive, even though whatever else is happening. Okay. Oh, you just had a breakup. Aren't you supposed to sit in that corner and cry all day? No, I don't need to do that. I cried today in the morning. Thank you very much. I'm fine. So this is really, really important, and really, really, really powerful when you can do this. Okay. All right. I'm going to open up for questions, because I know this is not, this is a bit of a concept that's a bit out there, where people at the beginning have a lot of questions usually. So let me have your questions.
Okay, I'm going to start. And I had a comment too. It is true that it's due to education. Most of us have not been taught to handle everything that's negative. It has to be suppressed, covered, and for most children. That's why when we become adults, a lot of things happen, and some can learn the lesson, some of them can never learn the lesson. And so I agree that the difficulty when this setting has been done is to change and allow, this keyword, allow, and also accept. Acceptance is something that I find important to work on. It's not easy to accept. I mean, you talked about your father, but accept that, yes, he has Alzheimer, accept that there is no cure for Alzheimer, accept that this is the starting point of then dealing with your sadness in a daily basis, because there are things you cannot control, right? And you have to accept it. So there's a lot of individual work to do on that, but then it's like everything, it's something that we have to do consistently and be aware that, okay, when are we sad? Okay, what am I going to do with it? So it comes back to mindfulness, being mindful that, oh, there's something triggering me, and pause. Allow yourself to pause instead of going for more, because it's another way of covering something negative that we're feeling in the moment, whatever the trigger.
Absolutely.
And I found that for me, anger, which is a negative feeling, but I don't know why, I don't know if others experience that, but anger for me is a push. It's a energetically push to do things. Like because anger is energy, right? It's strong energy. So when you use this strong energy in a positive action, then it's used in a good way, instead of using this negative energy to go down, to destroy yourself in another way, by throwing bad words to people but it's an energy. And when we can control this energy in the moment to do something positive about it, wow, it's unbelievable. It's like, a firework, but not in the right direction that usually we think it's going to go. So yeah, I have the capacity to do that. I don't know why. I think it's something that I have since always. But it's an interesting thing to work on.
So the thing with anger is that anger is an emotion that is, I think, on the energetic frequency scale lower than sadness, if I'm not mistaken. So the lowest one is jealousy, right? And I think right above it is anger. And the thing is that, yes, it's already a really powerful tool to switch anger into an energy boost. But you need to be very careful of where that energy is coming from, because if it is like because people confuse it between, okay, I use it actually to give me an energy boost and to move forward. But the question is, where does it, like, what is the thought that is causing it? Because if it's like I'm going to show them, then it's actually not something positive. So I would challenge you to look at what is the thought that is coming through that anger boost, right? Like, what is that energy boost and what does that exactly look like? And if it's great that you can turn it into something positive, but it would be even better if you can manage to neutralize the anger and use the neutralization energy into something positive in order to boost you forward. Because I'm going to show them, or not with me, I'm going to do this differently and this is not going to impact me and is actually a very it's a negative energy that will hit. It's a bit like boomerang energy, because it will hit you back a couple of days later. So on the day, it probably feels like, yeah, I got so much stuff done because this and that happened and I'm angry at this person. But a couple of days later, it might not feel so good anymore. So that's a bit the tricky thing with taking energy out of anger or out of any negative emotion. As a matter of fact, is at the beginning, it makes us really powerful, but it comes back. So I would challenge you really to look at what is the thought that is going through and be very aware the next time it comes up. Like, what is the thought? And I still experience this. So I recently experienced something which was absolutely ridiculous. And I was like, I got really annoyed over my trainer sending me an invoice end of December that was due for January. And like, she sent it, I think, on the 30th and was like, can it be paid by the 31st? And I was like, I wasn't really annoyed, but I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm not your bank. And this, it was like these kind of things that I was like, like little bitchy voice inside. And then I was like, where is this coming from? Because this is not me. This is really weird. And then I realized it's my dad. My dad is very much like this, or he used to be like this in business. He was like, when small things had, like regarding invoicing, he was a drama queen. So it was really this energy I was taking over from my dad of like how dare they, send me an invoice a day before and expect me to pay? Do they think I have nothing else to do? I mean, and it's between Christmas and New Year's. I mean, everybody's on vacation. I mean, who even reads their emails in this time, And so that was something I realized, and I had to neutralize this energy completely and be like, that's dad speaking. Let's let go of this for good and no longer entangle with that energy and just like be done with this. It's like, okay, she gave it a try. I wasn't able to do it. I can't do it anyway because of accounting rules, blah, blah, blah. But, there was no more anger attached to it because I was like, yeah, it just doesn't work this way for me. Sorry, you can't send me an invoice on the 30th and expect it to be paid by the 31st. Finished. But, that was for me also something that was interesting, of not being in this triggered, not letting me be triggered in any way by it, and going like, hey, why am I triggered about this? This is ridiculous. And then feeling guilty all day over, why am I triggered over this? This is stupid. This is idiotic. Why am I triggered over an invoice that she wants to have a day paid, like a week paid earlier? This is idiotic. So you see how quickly we can go into this emotional state of being annoyed with ourselves and feeling guilt and shame and all the things over ridiculousness, you know, not big things, like stupid little tiny things. And this is what we need to like dissolve and be very aware of these things. Yes, Bernice.
Thanks. Thanks for sharing, Francois and Nadia. I also can relate a lot to what you were saying about the anger. And I experienced it myself yesterday. And I can identify very much to what Fran is saying, because sometimes we really use this anger to prove, in a way, you know, to prove ourselves that, okay, so then it's going to, and actually I was very happy because yesterday it was extremely productive for me. However, I've been in other occasions, I've used also this anger in a way to move forward, but then I also think it has to do with how it is going to be coming across. Because when and I felt it the other way, when people are very passionate, but the passion comes from an anger, the people that even though the person tries to do something good, then it comes like a frustration. It comes across like a frustration, like something, and it's very subtle. But when you're talking about this low energy, Nadia, it's indeed how it comes across. So it does. The source is not love. The source is not passion. The love is not interest or care about the others, but it comes from a source of anger. And this is exactly what kills the rest. That's why I think it's really, really beautiful what we're saying here, because it's how can we reflect upon this feeling that indeed is giving us energy, but how can we shift it to say, okay, I will translate it with the source. It will not come anymore from a negative emotion. But what's the opposite? Why is this making me so angry? Because in the other side, there is my care about this or that, or the sense of injustice, the sense of having been mistreated, or having been misjudged or misunderstood or whatever, and then try to change it, to convert it, so that when we really do something, it comes across differently. You know, and I think it's very subtle, very, very subtle, but worth reflecting. And I find myself as well many times there when the anger really is what triggers.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very easy, but it's very subtle when to use it, and especially if we want to take an action, a proactive action, then how can we really make the best out of it, so that we don't really need to be angry every time to move forward, because otherwise it becomes a cycle.
It becomes a bit of an addictive habit, right?
Exactly. It's like, you're going to become, yes, it's going to be something that unintentionally or indirectly we're going to start looking for, to have this anger to make you move. It's like having to feel the stress to make you move. And this is the dangerous thing, because the anger also damages our body, damages our cells, damages our spirit.
Right.
So it's interesting.
So the point is, we want to take inspired action. So action inspired by desire and inspired by inspiration. Right? So you want inspiration and desire.
I repeat that. That was a nice one. What?
You want action to be inspired by desire and inspiration, not out of fear, anger, right? You want to come from positive energy creates more positive energy, creates more positive energy. If you need to move because there's a negative energy push that gives you push, it will never be the same. It will never, ever be the same. It's the same thing if you need to make money and you create a program out of the need to make money, it will never land the same way, right? Because it doesn't come from a positive energy place. Whereas if you create a program out of desire, out of like, I created this program out of, hey, wouldn't it be fun to do something together? That was my thing. It was like, I want to do this for 21 days. A lot of people are not in a positive energy place at the moment. So how can I lift their energy and start their year in a really powerful way and have them do 21 days of doing something every day and doing more, getting more, right? And I had fun about this. And I was like, this program is based on the energy of wanting more, on the energy of desire, on the energy of positivity all the way. So that was something for me where I was like, how can I get more and more and more and more and more, right? And that's how I created this program. I didn't create, and I had no attachment whatsoever, how many people were going to join, how much money I was going to make. I was like, I'm going to do this anyway. So if I have other people join me, this is going to be amazing. And it's going to be more fun for me. For me, it was a fun factor. For me, it was like, it's going to be more fun. And I'm going to keep myself accountable, because if I have to show up every day at 9 because people are waiting for me, I'm going to show up. If I'm going to do this on my own, yeah, probably I'm going to be like, yeah, let's start with something else today. So that is why it's about the energy that's behind it. But I didn't create this program out of fear, out of anger, out of sadness, out of need or anything else. I was just like, let's have fun.
Actually, I love what you're saying about the inspiration, because actually when we make something that comes from this source, it will move more.
Yeah.
Probably we might reach our goals in a different way. Sometimes it's not so easy, but yes, it's a very fine line. But I love it. The action inspired by desire and by inspiration. It's more powerful than the energy, how it's going to come across.
Always, 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 always. Okay, Heather, I still wanted to see if you have any questions specifically, because this was a topic that was very much also dedicated to you. Heather, are you still here? Yeah, there she is.
Sorry, I was starting to write in the chat instead. No, but I'm fine. I think there's been the questions that have been put out have been good and relevant.
Okay, wonderful. Is there anything you still want to ask? No?
No, but I can really agree that it's hard work. This
I know.
Walking with sadness and joy at the same time.
I know. You need to, like at the beginning, what I would recommend when you're starting out with this is to like really be aware and be like, okay, I'm dedicating now time to really be sad. Yeah. And now I'm dedicating time to really experience joy. And I think the fact that your granddaughter is there, I think that's going to really help, because you can like say, okay, I'm going to like take half an hour for myself and really like deal with this and be sad and allow myself to be really sad. And then I'm going to play with her and like experience a lot of joy. I'm going to go with her to the zoo or go with her and play snowballs. I don't know what you guys do, but you know, like really, really like take the time to actively and very consciously experience both on the same day. And that way it will like, okay, sadness, okay, joy, okay, sadness, okay, joy, okay, sadness, okay, joy. And then at some time you'll see it will overlap and you'll be able to do both at the very same time. So you'll have one moment of joy and one moment of sadness, and you'll be able to switch like this without feeling bad or feeling guilty, and just being like, hey, this is the way I deal with it now, and it's okay. That's the most important thing, okay? I really want all of you to write this down. I'm going to be okay no matter what. That's always the thing. We always think that, oh, I'm not, like, this is the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life, or I don't know. But if you think about it, actually, it isn't. Actually, it isn't. You know, it becomes this thing where we're like, okay, actually, I've been through so much worse. Like, I'm going to be okay. I mean, I'm going to be okay no matter what. Doesn't matter what we experience in our life. Like my coach, she makes, I think last year she crossed with $24 million, and only 7 or 8 years ago, she was living in her car because she went completely broke. And so out of living and sleeping in her car, she went to a $24 million per year business as a coach. And the thing is that she says, I'm going to be okay no matter what, because I've experienced the lowest point of my life ever. And I got out of that. So there's nothing more that can happen to me that can make this any worse. So I know I'm like, she said, and even in that car, I was okay. Even in that car, I was okay. And the thing is, if we experience it this way, that like, I'm going to be okay no matter what, like no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay at the end of the day. You know, you can only always make the best out of it and always tell yourself, I'm going to be okay no matter what. This is going to hurt right now. I'm going to hold this energy. I'm going to hold the pain and the discomfort. But at the same time, I get to experience joy. But I need to be able to hold this energy and go through the pain and not, you know, wipe it off, wipe it away and go like, okay, I'm over it. It's fine. It's okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. It's not that I'm okay. It's I'm going to be okay. There's a difference. There's a wiping the energy away. I'm going to be okay. I don't care. I'm okay. Or there is I'm holding this energy, but I know I'm going to be okay. So it's one is the fake I'm okay. The other one is the real I'm okay.
And the other one is the decision, because you take the decision to be okay despite of that.
Exactly. Despite everything, I'm going to be okay. All right. All right. This was a bit of a longer episode, but a very important one. So thank you for all of the questions and interactions at the end. Is there anything else before we wrap up? Okay. So your homework really is going to be if you have something that is like that, where you experience a negative emotion today, then I would really encourage you to like look at this and really be like, okay, what is this? What am I dealing with? And deal with it the way we discussed. And the second thing is, if you don't, then I would just like to I would like you to think of an example where you have experienced it in the past and how you could have dealt with it differently. Like, think about, how did I experience sadness or anger or fear in the past? How did I deal with that? And how would I deal with it differently now? Like, did I wipe it away? Did I let it all in? Did I have a sushi roll day? Like, what did I do? What is my typical reaction to this? And how am I going to deal with this from now on? Like, the next time something comes, what am I going to do? And then really keep your eyes open in awareness of like, okay, where is there some sadness or fear? Like I said, it comes even in the small things. Like for me, it was that invoice thing last week, which was, as I said, ridiculous, but you know, it comes in small things even. It doesn't have to be something massive happening in order for you to experience anger or sadness or whatever, right? Okay, everyone, I wish you a wonderful day. I will see you back tomorrow at 9. And yeah, good luck with this. Thank you for a lovely conversation, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.